Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
It's Denny Day in Norman, America. The new athletic director at the University of Oklahoma is Roger Denny. He was officially introduced this afternoon over at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium as the successor to Joe Castiglione, who is stepping away after nearly 28 full years of outstanding service to the illustrious University of Oklahoma. And did you guys run that presser in its entirety, Grayson?
98% of it.
98% of it. Okay, so it was a lengthy one with Joe Harris and Randall Stevenson and Roger Denny not that long ago, right here on the airwaves of the Ref. But learned a couple things. One being Roger Denny has a vocabulary. As S. Rob Booman says on the text line, the new word for today is hubris, thanks to Roger Denny. There you go, folks. I won't be the only one using words that some folks have never heard of.
So what we're hearing is that the Parker Thune interview with Roger Denny is going to require a doctorate.
Oh, gosh.
To be able to decipher.
Listen, I don't have a doctorate. I will never have a doctorate. I never thought I was going to get a master's degree. I wound up getting a master's degree, and then I was like, I'm never doing education again. I will never attend another class in my life. So I don't know if Roger Denny obviously holds a law degree. Mm-hmm. I wonder if he's a doctor. Probably not.
I feel like we would have known that by now.
Yeah, he would be Dr. Roger Denny,
yeah.
right? But yes, Roger Denny has a vocabulary, and I would say as well, I questioned this initially, I would say he has aura. Roger Denny has aura. It's more of a quiet, focused intensity type of aura with Roger Denny. What I would liken it to is maybe like Jalen Hurts. Remember Jalen Hurts when he was at OU? And he's kind of that same way now that he's in the NFL with the Eagles. But Jalen Hurts was very soft-spoken, very reserved, but he was all about just keeping the main thing. That was his line.
I see the comp, but a lot of what Jalen Hurts' aura comes from is that he's 225 pounds and a very handsome individual.
That is true. Roger Denny is a shorter man. Not short, not stubby, but he's on the shorter side. He's got the buzz cut. You know, sitting up there on the podium next to Randall Stevenson. Those are two men of very different size. Because Randall Stevenson is like 6'5", 6'6". Randall Stevenson is really tall.
Interesting.
Yes, he might have been the tallest person there today. Huh. So you got Randall Stevenson sitting right next to Roger Denny, and there's a contrast there. But they both kind of have that same persona, that same demeanor. Quiet but intense. You can tell they're about business and stuff is going to get done.
The producer says that was gay. No, it's not.
What?
You can recognize that another individual is a good-looking person.
Oh boy.
Come on now.
CJ Sooner said pause, Grayson.
Man, get y'all minds out of the gutter.
Greg in Cleveland says, tell Steely that Denny's got low-key W-Riz.
Would Steely know what that means?
405 listener points out. Attorneys are juris doctors, so I guess that technically, yes, Roger Denny does have a doctorate, I suppose. But, 15 years practicing law, 5 years in the athletic department at the University of Illinois, now the next AD at the University of Oklahoma. And catch me up a little bit. What were yours and Steely's key takeaways from listening to Roger Denny?
Well, I'll tell you, I thought the press conference went about as it should. No fireworks, nothing groundbreaking, but he seemed well educated in all of the topics. And, one of the things that he talked about was the whole bond situation and with the new potential arena in the city of Norman. So he does seem very caught up with what's going on, not just with the athletic program, but what's going on around the community as well. So that was key. to me, his background still will stand out. The fact that he's dealt with private equity and media rights and licensing and all of those things that are now fundamental to the operation of college athletics and building a roster. So his background is what's going to stand out to me. Today for the presser, I was just looking at how he handled the media and just how fluid he was with speaking, and I thought he did a good job with that. So nothing stood out really to me, which probably for an AD introduction is the best thing.
He used everybody's name in responding to their questions, was very congenial, very professional. But I thought it was interesting. He fielded that one question about the University of North Park District.
Yes.
And I'm going to be...
That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I'm going to be very curious to see whether he is the type of person that can actually get stuff done in that regard. And not only get stuff done of his own accord, but prompt other people to get stuff done. Because we've been sitting in administrative limbo, the land of red tape with the University of North Park District, for literally as long as I've lived in the state of Oklahoma. Grayson, I think this dates back to 2016, if I'm not mistaken. So we're approaching a decade of will they, won't they, with the University of North Park District and what could be the next home of the OU basketball programs if certain plans come to fruition. Now, there was a listener, Lost City Sooner on the text line, 405-651-3439, who texted in and said, just tuning in, did Denny fire Porter yet? And there were a lot of context clues that were very apparent this afternoon in that regard. Denny was asked a question about the men's basketball program, kept things pretty politically correct, said, hey, I just met with Porter this morning. I don't know enough to tell you what we're going to do there to shock some life back into the OU men's basketball program. But obviously he understands, as he steps into this role, that the Sooners are 1-7 in conference play, 11-10 overall, not sniffing the NCAA tournament, barring the greatest return from the dead since Teddy Lehman over the weekend. And there's going to need to be change. There has to be change. And I'm sure you guys talked about that game last night. I don't need to relitigate that whole process. But Oklahoma loses another heartbreaker last night to Arkansas in exactly the same fashion that we've seen Porter Moser's teams lose so many games over the years. Literally the exact same fashion. That game followed the script to a T. And so when I say there were context clues today, here's what I mean by that. Roger Denny, in making his introductory remarks to the crowd of dignitaries there in the MidFirst Bank Stadium Club at Gaylord Family Oklahoma Memorial Stadium, shouted out several coaches individually as coaches that he was excited to work with and help aid them in their push towards championships. He mentioned Brent Venables. Obviously, he's a football guy. Roger Denny's a football guy. He shouted out Brent Venables. He shouted out Jenny Baranchek. He shouted out Patty Gasso and KJ Kindler and Skip Johnson. He did not say a word about Porter Moser. And when that meeting ended, or should I say when that ceremony ended, when that ceremony wrapped up, I kid you not, Grayson, one of the very first people, if not the absolute first person that walked out of that room was Porter Moser. And so you combine those details with what you could tell was a very intentionally politically correct answer from Denny when he was confronted heads up with a question about the state of the OU men's basketball program. It's really not hard to figure what is afoot.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no need to try to fool anybody here. Like, I mean, we all know what's going on. We all know what is on the horizon. And, I mean, to me, the question now is, especially after last night, because they found another way to blow another double-digit lead, but to me, the question now becomes, what kind of a coach is Roger Denny going to hire to pilot this OU men's basketball program from here on out? I mean, to me, we are already past the foregone conclusion. It's not even going to be, I know you and I have termed this as a decision. To me, it's not a decision. We know what's going to happen. The decision comes with who's going to be the next guy.
Brent from Jenks on the text line says, Parker, was that aura or aura? Interesting pronunciation.
Yeah,
Must be a
I noticed that
Nebraska thing.
too.
I've always said aura. Is that incorrect?
No, it's aura.
So you say aura.
Aura.
I say aura.
You
Okay.
say aura.
I need to Wikipedia this or Merriam-Webster this.
Are you looking this up?
Okay, it is aura.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the idiot here. I'm the idiot, folks. I'll take the L on that one. Roger Denny has aura. How about that? Roger Denny doesn't quite have the Joe Castiglione flavor of aura, but he's got his own aura. And I thought it was really, really cool, man, just to see how sincere he was about everything. And I know you guys ran the press conference, but in his introductory remarks prior to his press conference hitting the airwaves, he mentioned and he got legitimately choked up, like had to wipe away tears up there on the podium when he was talking about all of the people at the University of Illinois, many of whom were there in that room, that helped him ascend to where he is today as the athletic director appointee at the University of Oklahoma. The realist says, mark this date down. Parker said he was the idiot. I'm the idiot every day, the realist. But all of you guys listen anyway. So, glad to have you. 405-651-3439 is the text line. The show brought to you today by Dorsey Jones GMC out in El Reno. Family-owned and operated, half-price oil changes on Saturdays, low-pressure sales environment, outstanding pricing, and, of course, GMC offers some of the most reliable trucks and SUVs on the road today. All that and so much more out at Dorsey Jones. The producer on the text line says, Roger Denny has aura. That was a handsome comment. I mean, I'm not here to comment on how handsome Roger Denny is, but I am telling you, he has aura. Get in a room with Roger Denny, the aura is there. Frisco Sooner says, guys, I'm not sure this Denny guy's character, but if you ask me, that was pretty weak with not mentioning Porter. Look, we all know he's toast after the year, but find another way to address coaches or whatever. Again, that was weak. Thoughts?
I can see it. I can see what you're talking about because there would have been a better way, I think, in some people's minds to go about communicating that message without listing every coach individually by name and pretty conspicuously leaving one out. Like I do think there's a better way you could have gone about that in some people's minds.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that stands out because obviously he didn't go down the whole list of every single sport that the University of Oklahoma sponsors, and he didn't mention every single head coach of every single one of those programs, but he mentioned the notable ones, right? All the notable ones,
yeah.
All the ones that are out there, very front-facing in the public eye, with the lone exception of the men's basketball program in Porter Moser.
Yeah, and look, I don't know if he was trying to just send a blatant message. If he was, I'm never going to be an athletic director, but that's not the route I would have gone if that's what he was trying to do, which I don't believe it was. So, I don't have an issue with it personally, but I do see that some people certainly will, and I would understand it.
Well, and here's a counterpoint from Tattoo Baker on the text line. Does he sound like a rat bastard, though, if he does mention it and 2 days later Porter's fired?
Or you could just not mention names at all.
Or that.
I mean, administrators and commissioners, like, we've learned that they are very good at saying a lot to say absolutely nothing. So, I mean, all you have to do was say, hey, I'm excited to work with all of our coaches that are going to advance the prestige of Oklahoma athletics.
Another 405 listener says, regardless of what he's going to do with Porter, it was bad form, period. Bobby in BA says, I'm not convinced there's going to be change with Porter. Give him a higher NIL budget instead of giving it to a new coach. And, man, I think that's going to be a really fascinating thing to track over the course of Denny's first few months on the job. And that's not specific to the men's basketball program, but you got to think about the bloat that exists in the Oklahoma athletic department and the streamlining of resource allocation, because that was something Denny talked about in his press conference, the reality that you got to be intelligent with how you allocate your resources. And so is Denny the type of guy that's going to look at the situation with the men's basketball program and conclude that it is worth paying Porter Moser several $1 million to go away? I would think at this point the answer is yes, and I would also think he's going to be facing pressure and potentially financial aid from external forces in pursuit and in recognition of that end. But I'm also curious to see how significantly the athletic department gets reshaped. And whether there are certain positions that get eliminated, whether there are certain departments that get eliminated. How much is Roger Denny going to shake the snow globe with the entire landscape of the Oklahoma athletic department? And maybe the general public doesn't care or is even really aware of all of that. But, just like being in that room, overhearing conversations from some of those athletic department staffers today, that like they all have a good sense of humor about it, but they understand, okay, new athletic director, new leadership, there could be change. One of them was like, yeah, well, I guess now we see how many of us lose our jobs.
Yeah, there is that, and that's always the internal fight you have with yourself when there is new ownership. True Okie 22 on the YouTube chat says he's got a lawyer background talking about Denny. He has no one dealt with lawyers in the past. Majority of them don't give a rip and are extremely blunt.
This is traditionally true.
Yeah, fair point.
And he does seem like a very straightforward guy. He's honest. He's transparent. And evidently, just in listening to what Joe Harris and Randall Stevenson had to say about the process of hiring Roger Denny, that was one thing they appreciated is, hey, it's going to be real blunt, real concise about what needs to be done and the steps that need to be taken to get there.
Chris from Knoxville, I knew we were going to get this one. Compliance will somehow remain unchanged.
That's we're getting so many of those texts, and I expected as much. Hawaiian Sooner, OU football compliance needs to be blown up. And, yeah, I would think there will be many on the outside looking in that advocate for that. I mean, as long as the NCAA exists, as long as the NCAA still offices out of Indianapolis, I think it's Indianapolis, right?
Yes.
As long as the NCAA still has controlling interest in collegiate athletics, you're going to have compliance. You're going to have to comply with NCAA regulations. But certainly understand the viewpoint of those that would say, we don't have to comply to the degree that we sometimes have at the University of Oklahoma. 405-651-3439. Hit us with your texts, questions, comments, opinion, feedback, any and all of the above and more. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton here with you in studio here on Locked In. Much more ahead. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
Locked In is brought to you every day by Dorsey Jones GMC in El Reno. Dorsey Jones GMC is family-owned and operated with a knowledgeable, low-pressure sales staff here to help you through the buying process and half-price oil changes on Saturdays. Visit dorsey-jonesgmc.com for more information.
Good times are calling your way at the Showplace Theater with acts like Eli Young Band, February 6th. Matt Matthews, February 14th.
I was pretending to smoke a cigarette with a Cheeto, and I would share it with my friends.
Dylan Gossett, February 20th. And Christopher Cross, February 28th. Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
They don't want to hire you because your paper might say Oklahoma School for the Blind.
I was just completely homebound because I was always too afraid to go outside. I want to be a productive member of society, and that's what DRS has given me.
They offer you opportunities to getting a job, helping you learn how to advocate for yourself, find the best way to try living your life in the fullest way possible.
Oklahoma and DRS has been the biggest blessing in my life.
See me.
And not my disability.
This is Jake Aldridge, partner at Aldridge Teasdale. We know accidents happen when you least expect them, but if you're injured, your path to recovery and justice starts with the right attorney by your side. At Aldridge Teasdale, we understand that every injury is personal and that every story matters. You deserve an advocate who will fight for you. But don't wait. If you need medical assistance, you need to get it now, and we can help you with access to the best doctors in Oklahoma. Call Aldridge Teasdale today, 405-447-HURT. That's 405-447-4878.
Looking for the ultimate clean without the scratches? Visit Edmond Car Wash, Edmond's most advanced wash, with 2 convenient locations at 1401 South Broadway and 200 Brookfield. you'll find self-serve bays, touchless automatics, and eco-friendly soaps. Open 24/7, no membership required. Basic car washes start at just $10, and you can even give your dog a bath at our Broadway location. Keep your car and your pup shining, only at Edmond Car Wash.
What does VA mean to me?
A place for my daughter to call home, thanks to the VA Home Loan.
A new lease on life. The best healthcare team I've ever had is here at VA.
And education, and the opportunity to open doors I never thought possible with my GI Bill.
The financial support I need to manage the disabilities I developed because of my service.
Get what you earn. Visit choose.va.gov.
Not all veterans are eligible for the type or amount of benefits mentioned here.
Your child is sick. With those 4 words, the innocence and joy of childhood disappears. But Starlight has taught us 4 other words that make all the difference. The power of play. Happy kids heal faster. That's why Starlight Children's Foundation delivers happiness through gaming, toy deliveries, and more to hospitals across the country. Learn more at starlight.org.
Did the recent storms damage your home and roof? Call All American Roofing today. All American Roofing has been repairing and replacing roofs for over 40 years and is a second-generation locally owned roofing company. They are also a Google guaranteed contractor and offer free inspections. Our roofers are GAF Master Elite contractors with a BBB A+ rating. Call All American Roofing today at 405-787-0400. All American Roofing, the best roofing company in Oklahoma. 405-787-0400. Hands are how we give. Hands are how we receive. To lend a hand and to hand it off. Hands are how we transform and how we redistribute. Our community needs a helping hand these days, and the United Way of Norman is there to offer it. From emergency services to vocational programs to grief counseling for the youth, the United Way connects your gift with the programs that will have the greatest impact on improving the lives of everyone in the community. Make your donation today and raise your hand for your community. Learn how you can give United at unitedwaynorman.org.
Things I am not surprised to hear. Grayson Halton looks really, really good at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama. Things I am incredibly surprised to hear. Jaden Ott also apparently looks really good at the Senior Bowl down in Mobile, Alabama.
Okay, so are you actually surprised to hear that?
Yes.
Really?
I mean, first off, I'm surprised he got the invite to the Senior Bowl.
That's fair.
He had 68 rushing yards at Oklahoma in 2025, Grayson. 68.
Oh, I know.
And okay, he had 3 really solid years with Cal. 1 elite year as a sophomore at Cal. But 68 yards is 68 yards. And then not only does he get the invite to the Senior Bowl, but now all the people that are down there are like, yeah, Jaden Ott looks pretty good. And this is one of these questions that's impossible to answer. Like, we're never going to know what the answer is. We're all going to have theories. We've all, regardless of how credibly we've heard things, we've all heard things about Jaden Ott's stint at the University of Oklahoma and what was going on behind the scenes. But if he turns out to be worth anything at the professional level, it's going to be a perpetual, eternal mystery as to what in the world happened in 2025 at the University of Oklahoma for Jaden Ott. And, okay, on a surface level, you know what happened. He didn't play. He got shuffled down the pecking order behind Xavier Robinson and Torrey Blaylock, and by all accounts, talking to people close to the program, there were reasons for that. He wasn't terribly physical. He wasn't terribly tough. And, there are other things that went into it as well, but the long and short of it is that he just was not an impact guy for Oklahoma in 2025 and never really even looked like an impact guy. He had 59 scrimmage yards against Kent State. I think that represented all but like 15 of the scrimmage yards that he had all season. In what became a 44-0 win where the third teamers were on the field by the end. Like Jet New took the final 2 offensive snaps of that game for Oklahoma. And so if Jaden Ott, and you don't wish ill upon anybody. I hope Jaden Ott gets drafted. I hope he has success in the NFL. I'd wish that for anybody and everybody that isn't just a flat-out horrible person. There are a few of those every now and again.
Uh-huh.
There are a few of those that, whether it's before the process or through the process, you just kind of come face-to-face with the reality that, okay, this is just not a very good person. This is not somebody that I can in good conscience pull for. But I'll pull for Jaden Ott, man. I hope he gets drafted. I hope he has success in the league. If he does have success in the league, though, it's going to make that 2025 campaign at Oklahoma even more baffling than it already is.
Yeah, and I'd be lying to you if this development surprised me. Because Jaden Ott just didn't forget how to play football. Whatever went on with Oklahoma had much more to do with extenuating circumstances, whether it was the injury that brought all of this to the forefront, a falling out potentially with DeMarco. I don't know. But I know one thing for sure is that dude who looked like that at Cal did not just bump his head, wake up, and forget how to play football. So the fact that he's actually doing work at the Senior Bowl is no surprise to me. It's no surprise because this was a good football player, had some struggles with injuries, then found himself in the bad graces of a particular coaching staff, and it just went south. What if we can all chalk this up to Oklahoma was a bad situation and a bad fit for him?
And maybe it's just that simple.
And it's trending in that direction, especially if this continues, and then he maybe does something at the professional level.
Blake from Wasso says, think it's safe to say Ott got a bag and checked out to prepare and get healthy for the draft. I mean, honestly, maybe. Like, anything is on the table at this point if you're trying to explain what happened with Jaden Ott in 2025, but that also seems so counterproductive. Because if he had produced at Oklahoma in 2025, if he had had the season that most expected he would have when he came over from Cal, he would have a lot higher NFL draft stock right now than he does in reality. In the real world, what is Jaden Ott? A late-round flyer? Maybe? If he goes for 1,000 yards at Oklahoma in 2025, you're talking about a potential top 50 type of guy. I promise you, and yes, he got paid a good chunk of change at Oklahoma. I promise you the bag that he collected from OU was not big enough to justify willfully tanking your draft stock to that extent.
Which is why that's off the table for me.
But hey, Grayson Halton, man. Been the toast of the town down there. It's been him and Lee Hunter that evidently have been the 2 most dominant defensive tackles at the Senior Bowl. So Grayson Halton, obviously he came in as a surefire draft pick. He's going to hear his name called, no question. But he's repping his way up draft boards right now.
Good. Good for him. He's a good player. Him and Lee Hunter, that's an exceptional 1-2 defensive tackle at the Senior Bowl. 4-star Evan from Blanchard. Jaden Ott on Monday Night Football during the player intros. Jaden Ott, University of Screw You, DeMarco Murray.
Reno Goat says, have they done running back pass blocking drills at the Senior Bowl yet? Just wait. Oh, we have a defender of compliance on the text line. This 405 listener hit us with a text to say, those that hate the compliance office never met Toby Baldwin or took his class. Shout out to the IAA program if it's still even around, LOL. It is absolutely still around. I took 2 semesters of Toby Baldwin's compliance seminar. I saw Toby this morning. Phenomenal human being. One of the absolute best. He's worked at OU for what, like 30, 35? He's been around a while. And get this. That guy commutes every single day from Duncan. That is a 3-hour round trip. In case you were curious.
He comes here every day?
Well, I mean, not every day, but you get the picture. He commutes.
A decent amount, okay.
He commutes from Duncan. It's dedication, man. Great dude. Glenn from Nashville says, stop talking about Ott. Parker, you're way nicer than I am, and I know you wished him good luck in the NFL. I don't. Dude came here and stole money and sat around without any conscience about it. I mean, look, I'm not going to tiptoe around that reality at all. When Jaden Ott was here, there were many signs that he was not entirely bought in with the program. Chalk that up to whatever you will, but it stands as probably the worst investment. Not probably. It is the worst investment of the NIL era that Oklahoma has ever made. There was zero bang for the buck, and there was a lot of buck. There was a lot of buck, no bang.
Do you think, though, because it's no secret how Jaden Ott ended up at Oklahoma. Like, we know what happened there. Do you think that Jim Nagy doesn't run that back where he talks a guy into getting in the portal and he immediately signs 18 hours later with the promises of that chunk of money? Do you think Jim Nagy maybe wants to go down that route but takes a step back and says, all right, we're going to play this a little bit slower than I did with Jaden Ott, or just either make some tweaks or completely just doesn't do that again?
There are many lessons in there.
Yeah.
Many lessons. And there were, as I understand it, just talking to a lot of different people involved with the program, with varying accounts of the whole process of getting Jaden Ott to Oklahoma, it does sound as though there were some red flags. There were some red flags that OU chose to ignore because the tape was just so scintillating from 2023 when he was healthy at Cal. And there were some red flags, some concerns that were voiced throughout the process. And OU decided to take the chance. It was a bad gamble. Sometimes you make one of those. That's why I think you see, I think why you did see this past month when Oklahoma got into the portal and added, 15 new scholarship guys?
Mm-hmm.
They were very measured about it all. They were very calculated about it all. Nothing was done in haste. Nothing was super accelerated. I guess the first pickup was Hayden Hansen, which was Sunday, about 48 hours after the portal window opened, and that had been in motion even before the portal window opened, and it could be in motion because he was a graduate transfer. But all told, when you looked at what Oklahoma did in the portal this past winter versus what they did at the end of spring with somebody like Jaden Ott, there was a lot more rationality to all of it. Not to say the decision to go get Jaden Ott was irrational, because it was highly rational. You go see a highly productive running back, a guy that has produced, has been an all-conference player at the P4 level, and he's available, even if he's not, quote-unquote, on the open market. You catch wind of the reality that he's available. Who among us wouldn't have made that move at the time?
Yeah.
Now, knowing what we know now, none of us would have made that move, but we didn't know what we know now back then. Oklahoma took a chance on Jaden Ott. It did not pay off.
The Waffler says, I would say Jackson Arnold was worse than Jaden Ott in terms of an investment. I don't know if I'd go that far.
Yeah, no, because here's what you got to remember about Jackson Arnold, and this is where I will always come to Jackson Arnold's defense. Did he play well as the quarterback at the University of Oklahoma? No. No, he did not. He had one shining moment. It was that Alabama game, and I think he only threw the ball 11 times in that game anyway.
Correct.
But Jackson Arnold, for all that he failed to do during his tenure as the starting quarterback at the University of Oklahoma, the one thing he did that remains significant to this day is he put in a ton of grunt work to help assemble that 2023 recruiting class. And some of those guys have moved on. Some of those guys flamed out. Some, Caden Green, hit the transfer portal for their own reasons, as opposed to getting pushed out by the institution. But just keep in mind, Peyton Bowen is not an Oklahoma Sooner today, if not for Jackson Arnold. That is the undeniable, unambiguous truth. Peyton Bowen is not an Oklahoma Sooner, absent the influence of Jackson Arnold. And thus, Eli Bowen, Little Bowen, is not an Oklahoma Sooner today without the influence of Jackson Arnold, because Eli was going wherever Peyton was going. And Peyton would not be at Oklahoma if Jackson Arnold hadn't been right there alongside him for the final 10 months of that recruitment process, pushing him and pushing him and pushing him to Norman, continuing to bring him up to campus for game days, making sure he felt at home with the program, even though it took a while for his family to come around on the idea of coming to OUU. And even though there was that highly publicized spat there at the end where they had to get the whole family on the same page one way or another because it was just time to make a decision. None of that happens without Jackson Arnold. He was not the only figure involved, but he was one of the pillars.
And I'll tell you what about Jackson Arnold too. Man, the dude tried. Like, you could see it. Like, the dude tried. And the dude was he was a program guy, like you just articulated. And he always fell on the sword, never pointed fingers, never played the blame game, even though there were things outside of him that made his job more difficult. So, I think comparing Jackson Arnold and Jaden Ott is pretty disrespectful to Jackson Arnold. I'm not going to lie to you.
405-651-3439. Please feel free to weigh in on the text line. Love touching base with all you guys throughout the show via the text line. We'll talk some recruiting coming up next. The coaches are out on the road visiting targets in the class of 2027 and 2028. We'll hit a few storylines, field some of your questions, and more. This is The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Keep it here.
This is your home for Sooner fans. The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Do you like to stand out in a crowd while wearing the best in OU apparel? The Jimmy Austin Pro Shop carries the best brands you can wear to work or even dress up events. Lines such as Lululemon, Travis Matthew, FootJoy, Greg Norman, Grayson, or Turtleson with the OU and Jimmy Austin logo are sure to catch everyone's eye. You don't have to be a golfer to shop at Jimmy Austin. They also do corporate special orders for you and your company. Call them today, 405-325-6716, or visit theougolfclub.com for more information. Flu season is here, and getting sick was never in your game plan. When you're sidelined by illness, don't wait on a doctor's appointment and don't waste a trip to the ER. Get back in the lineup fast with same-day care from Norman Regional. With urgent care and walk-in clinics across Moore and Norman, they're always ready to make the right call. Already a Norman Regional patient? They've got your records on hand to draft up the winning play right when you need it. Find the clinic nearest to you at normanregional.com or dial 405-515-5000. Norman Regional Urgent Care and walk-in clinics, open when you need it.
The TSET Healthy Youth Initiative is making a difference in every corner of Oklahoma, working to prevent teen tobacco and vape use, fueling our minds and bodies through health education, and empowering the next generation of leaders. Why? Because we are the future of Oklahoma. The TSET Healthy Youth Initiative, investing in Oklahoma. Learn more at tsethealthyyouth.com. Brought to you by the Tobacco Settlement Endowment Trust.
At Lander CDJR of Norman, it's the Start Something New sales event, starting the new year off with huge savings, like up to $15,500 off of MSRP, or get $9,000 off and 0% financing for 60 months on select new 26 Ram 1500 Bighorn trucks in stock. Or take up to $12,000 off of MSRP on select new 26 Ram 2500 Bighorns, and get a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. Ram 1500 stock number TN169555 must finance with Stellantis Financial for 0% for well-qualified buyers. Ram stock number TG165779.
Your child's oral health milestones matter. By age 1, see a pediatric dentist to establish good oral health habits. At 7, see an orthodontist to check your child's bite, teeth, and jaws. Around 15, visit an oral and maxillofacial surgeon to have your child's wisdom teeth examined. Remember, milestones met, healthy teeth set. Visit milestonesmet.org.
Once upon a time, our family had trouble with pests around our home. Did you know that stinging insects send tons of people to the hospital? And teeny ticks and mosquitoes can be all around the yard. Their bites can make people and their pets sick. Mice, rats, and roaches need food and water just like us. You do not want them to visit. They can spread disease and make it hard to breathe. I'm sure glad this story has a happy ending.
Learn how to protect your family at pestworld.org. A public service message from the National Pest Management Association.
Time is running out. The Daddy-Daughter Dance is almost here. Join us on February 7th at the Young Family Athletics Center for a night of music, dancing, and fun. Enjoy a live DJ, tasty snacks, drinks, and a keepsake photo to remember the night. Choose from 3 dance times, including a sensory-friendly option. Make memories together. Don't miss the special tradition. Tickets are selling fast. Get yours now. Go online to normanparks.com. Come on down to River Bottom Nursery at one of their 2 locations in OKC. Now under new ownership, River Bottom serves both the commercial industry as well as the gardener and homeowner at both their plant and tree nursery locations. River Bottom Nursery has everything you need to make your yard paradise. Call them today, 405-735-3636, or swing by one of their 2 locations. RiverbottomNursery.com, Oklahoma City's premier tree and plant nursery.
Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton with you for one final segment here on The Ref. This is Locked In, talking OU football and recruiting. Open to your feedback on the text line at 405-651-3439 or on the YouTube chat, because we are on YouTube. The KREF Sports YouTube channel is where you can find us broadcasting live in video format every day here on the show. I understand, Grayson, we have a super chat?
Hubinator Boom on the YouTube chat has asked, how is Jake Michaela's health?
Jake Michaela's health.
Yes.
If you're asking about the staph infection that affected him over the last few weeks of the 2025 season, not a long-term concern. He's going to be fine. He's going to be available for spring ball, and he's going to be your starting center in 2026 as a redshirt senior. He's one of 4 starters returning to the mix for Oklahoma up front. Of course, the others are Eddie Pierre-Louis, Michael Fasusi, and Ryan Foje. I think, if I had to project it right now, I would say Heath Ozida projects as your starting right guard, moving over from left guard. But there will be competition, there will be battles, there will be guys like a Daniel Akinkunmi, for instance, or a Peyton Joseph, the Georgia Tech transfer, that are looking to elbow their way into the mix. But if you made me guess right now in January, just over a month after last season ended, what Oklahoma's starting offensive line is going to look like, that's what I'd say it's going to look like.
Let me ask you this for sake of conversation. Why move Ozida over from left to right, and why not just slide EPL in at right tackle? Is he that much better at left?
I mean, theoretically it could do either. From where I stand at least, EPL emerged as your clear starting left guard down the stretch in 2025.
Sure.
And so if he's played well at that position, if it ain't broke, don't break it. So just leave him there, move Ozida over. He has starting experience. He's played multiple positions in his time at OU. And so if he can make it stick there, great. If not, you'll have some guys that are going to be able to jump into the mix and hold their own. I think Peyton Joseph and Daniel Akinkunmi, as I mentioned, 2 guys that certainly fit the bill in that regard. Have you watched much of Caleb Dillard's tape yet?
A little bit, and I've seen him myself.
Okay, so you've seen him in person?
Yes, I have.
What do you think of Caleb Dillard out of Jenks High School, 2027 defensive back?
He's gotten overshadowed of those guys in the 918 because obviously Samaj Stanford has been in there, as has Bryson Brown. I don't know. I think he is SEC good, and I think he's Oklahoma good. And I think he has some of the smarts that Samaj Stanford has, along with the ball skills and physicality. It's interesting to me, and I think you and I are culprits in this too. It's interesting to me that we haven't talked about this guy as much.
Yeah, I think the primary reason would be is that he doesn't hold an Oklahoma offer as of now. The Sooners have not yet offered, and if they were to offer, my understanding would be that it would be an offer as a safety.
Yes.
And Oklahoma's already in good standing with several safeties in the 2027 class. The guy at the top of that list, and a guy for whom the OU predictions are starting to roll in as of today from all the national experts, is a kid that the OU staff just visited down in the Mobile area yesterday. Jalen Scott, the blue chip safety out of Williamson High, has previously been committed to Florida State and Auburn. Now Oklahoma is the leader in the clubhouse for his services. They kind of reset the pace in his recruitment when he visited for the Michigan game back in September. So they've been on top for about 4 months now, even though he still stayed committed to Auburn until early December, I want to say. But if Jalen Scott is the first pickup for Oklahoma at the safety position in the 2027 class, then, okay, that's one spot accounted for. How many more do you take? And I think Oklahoma's in a position where they can take 3. They're a little bit thin numbers-wise at safety right now.
Yes, they are.
They're a little bit thin. I would not mind seeing them take 3. I don't think you take 4 just because I don't think you can make 4 stick around for longer than a year. We've seen this before. In the 2024 cycle, Oklahoma took Jaden Hardy. They took Reggie Powers, they took Michael Boganowski, and they took Michael Patterson-McDonald. Here we are 2 years later. Boganowski and Powers, they're still around. They're going to be foundational pieces for Oklahoma's defense in 2026. Michael Patterson-McDonald, long gone. I think he landed up at NEO, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
I think he's on the JUCO bounce back. And then Jaden Hardy, of course, transferred to Colorado earlier this month. So when you bring in 4 guys in the same class that all play the same position, and a position at that at which only 2 of them are on the field at a time, I just think it's impractical because in this day and age, you're not going to have all 4 guys on the same campus longer than 1 season. One of them is going to realize they're never getting on the field, and one of them is going to bounce, at least.
Yeah, and then at that point it becomes not a waste of recruiting resources, but certainly an inefficient use of recruiting resources. This has been asked a couple of times on the YouTube chat, and it just came across the text line. Is there smoke with Jay Valai potentially and Notre Dame?
The short answer is yes. Yes. There is legit smoke there. And the reason being is that Valai has an outstanding relationship with the defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, Chris Ash. Chris Ash coached Jay Valai in college. He was at Wisconsin while Valai was a player there in the late 2000s, early 2010s. And so on paper, it makes sense. I'll be honest, I truly don't know if anything is going to come of it. I would caution against that relationship and that dynamic between Valai and Ash automatically causing you to assume that he's going to wind up on the Notre Dame staff, because there are a couple of factors worth noting here as well. One is that Jay Valai just had a kid. I'm talking just had a kid within the last couple weeks. So moving with a newborn, not ideal logistically.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not impossible, certainly, but not ideal. And the other thing is this, man. We kind of do this same song and dance with Valai every single offseason. Every January or every February, thereabouts, Jay Valai's name is getting brought up for some job elsewhere. It's been this way since literally his first season at Oklahoma. And nothing has come of it yet. And to Oklahoma's credit, they've been proactive about doing what it takes to keep that defensive staff together. They've had remarkable continuity on that side of the ball when you're talking about the defensive assistants. Brent Venables, he's a linebackers guy. He's a linebackers guru. He's had 3 different linebackers coaches. Started out with Ted Roof. Then it was Zach Alley. Obviously, now it's Nate Dreiling. But Brent Venables has been the common thread tying it all together for the linebackers. His other 4 defensive assistants, though, Miguel Chavis with the D-ends, Todd Bates with the D-tackles, Jay Valai with the corners, and Brandon Hall with the safeties, all those guys are BVOGs. Founding members of the very first Brent Venables staff at the University of Oklahoma. And so when you establish continuity and start to experience success, the type of success that Oklahoma is having defensively and did have in 2025, it's not the easiest thing in the world to walk away from either. You get used to seeing the same folks in the office, sitting in meeting rooms with the same people for years at a time, and you not only enjoy the work you do, but you're having success as a group with the work that you're doing, and you just had a newborn on top of that, probably not going to be the easiest thing for Jay Valai to just uproot everything and make the move up to Notre Dame. Now, if the Fighting Irish want to offer him a $250,000 raise, if I'm in Jay Valai's shoes, I'm certainly making that move. Who among us isn't?
Especially with a newborn.
Yeah, but there is more to that situation than just, he's got a really good relationship with Notre Dame's defensive coordinator. 386 listener, that's the state of Florida, says, hasn't Valai been the coach teams have gone after pretty much since his arrival? At this point, easiest to assume he's here until he's not. And that's been the case for every single one of Oklahoma's defensive assistants. There are other schools that have made offers to Brandon Hall. There are other schools that have made offers to Todd Bates and Miguel Chavis. All of those guys at multiple different junctures have made the decision to stay at OU. Can you expect it to be that way forever? Probably not. And maybe this is the first pillar that falls, if you will.
Well, let me ask you this about Jay Valai, since I know you've interacted with him.
Yeah.
We've got a couple super chats as well. Does Jay Valai, in your estimation, have aspirations of being a defensive coordinator?
Yes, and I think all four of Oklahoma's aforementioned assistants do.
Okay.
Brandon Hall has been one already.
Right, exactly. So when you talk about guys that have aspirations to be DCs, if you're not going to stay under Brent Venables forever, if that is your goal.
Mm-hmm.
On the YouTube chat, Gerard asks, how good is Alex Shieldknight?
How good is Alex Shieldknight?
Yeah, and should we think he can contribute this year?
I mean, I would say that's probably a 2027 guy. I'd say that's a guy that's probably on the Taylor Wine type of trajectory, if I had to guess. A guy that needs 2 years to really round into form. I don't know that you should count on seeing a ton of Alex Shieldknight this year, but I'm a big Alex Shieldknight guy. I took some flack for it in the 2025 class because, physically he's not the most exciting specimen.
Mm-hmm.
He's about 6'2", 250. So size-wise, he's our Mason Thomas. He's not the same type of athlete that our Mason Thomas is, because who is? But the thing that always stood out to me about Shieldknight was the motor, man. And that's always, always going to be a huge asset for him, is that he's going to hustle as hard as anybody on that gridiron. And when you have functional levels of athleticism as he does, even in the SEC, man, you can become an impact player when you're just the guy that does not run out of gas, does not run out of steam. And that's Alex Shieldknight.
This is Lee Bird also says, I wish somebody wanted to hire Emmett and DeMarco.
Other schools have tried to hire Emmett and DeMarco.
I was about to say, DeMarco especially.
You say that. Just keep it like Oklahoma fought off Ohio State for DeMarco Murray. They fought off Penn State for DeMarco Murray.
Uh-huh.
Emmett Jones has had many suitors since he got to Norman. That is a guy that's gotten a lot of phone calls for other gigs.
Uh-huh.
And I think it says something that, we talk about those opportunities coming up for Chavis and Hall and Bates and Valai and Emmett Jones and DeMarco Murray and certainly Bill Beedenbow. Like pretty much every single member of this staff that has been around longer than a year has been the subject of advances from other schools. In most cases, numerous other schools. And they've stuck around. That's a testament to culture.
Yeah, I was just about to say that's more credit to Brent Venables, in my opinion.
Luke says, isn't Valai's contract on the docket for Board of Regents meeting? Basically, everybody's contract is on the docket for Board of Regents meeting. I don't think that's without exception, but, coaches tend to get raises pretty much every single year, especially when you're coming off a 10-2 season. Like, even if it's minimal or trivial, you're going to get a couple extra $1,000 when you're operating on such a level as guys like Brandon Hall and Miguel Chavis, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. By the way, a quick little note to close us out here, and I reported this yesterday on OUinsider.com. If you look at the Board of Regents agenda, there is also a contract that is going to be reviewed by the Board of Regents for an addition to James Dobson's strength staff.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, assistant strength coach at Oklahoma in 2026 and beyond is going to be Matt Maninger, who played linebacker at Nebraska and was an assistant for Dobson when he was the head strength coach at Vanderbilt. He, like Roger Denny, has spent the last 5 years at the University of Illinois. So there you go. Matt Maninger. Get to know the name if you don't already. The Rush is on the other side, folks. But for Grayson Singleton and I, it's a wrap here on this Wednesday. We will see you again tomorrow, same time, same place, for another installment of Locked In. Tyler and Ted are next.